All right, so everyone has that one convenience store that they just, I don't know, they just have to go to.
Yeah.
Like they'll drive miles out of their way for it.
Totally.
Even if it means, just avoiding the gas station right across the street. Mine's Wawa.
Wawa? Oh, you have to be from a certain place to even know what that is.
Right.
Let
Exactly.
alone have an opinion on it.
Yeah, it's a regional thing.
Yeah.
But those hoagies, though,
Yeah.
speaking of convenience stores that people really love,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of buzz lately about a certain global brand, 7-Eleven.
Yes, 7-Eleven.
It turns out even a brand as familiar as like your corner 7-Eleven
Right.
has a pretty interesting backstory.
Oh, for sure. 7-Eleven is actually in the middle of a potential takeover drama right now.
What?
Couche-Tard, which owns Circle K.
Okay.
They've made a bid for 7-Eleven for $47 billion.
$47 billion.
Right of money.
That's insane. That's like,
A lot of big gulps.
so this isn't like a friendly little acquisition. This is like a battle for convenience store supremacy.
Yeah, it's definitely high stakes. And this is actually Couche-Tard's second attempt to acquire 7-Eleven.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made a play back in 2005.
Right.
It didn't work out. But their persistence really shows how important 7-Eleven is strategically. And to add another layer to this,
Okay.
the Japanese government has labeled 7-Eleven as important to national security.
Wait, national security? What does a convenience store have to do with national security?
I know, right? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning.
Okay.
7-Eleven started all the way back in 1927
Wow.
in Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
as an icehouse storefront. It was called Southland Ice Company.
Southland Ice Company. Interesting.
Yeah, and their claim to fame was that they stayed open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.,
Okay.
which was pretty revolutionary at the time,
I can imagine.
hence the name.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven, exactly.
But I guess back then, those hours really were stretching the definition of convenience.
Oh, for sure.
But how did this American icon get so tied up with Japan?
Well, fast forward to 1991,
Okay.
a Japanese supermarket chain called Ito-Yokado.
Okay.
They acquired a majority stake in Southland Corporation, which was 7-Eleven's parent company,
Oh,
and they eventually took full ownership.
wow.
And here's the kicker. Japan now holds almost 30% of global 7-Eleven stores,
Wow.
and their convenience store model is very different.
I've heard whispers about Japanese convenience stores being on another level.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me more.
Okay, imagine walking into a convenience store where you can get freshly prepared sushi,
Whoa.
steaming bowls of ramen,
Yeah.
even like high-quality bento boxes.
Stop it.
That's the reality in Japan. They've integrated fresh food, ATM access, bill payment services. They even have solar panels on some rooftops.
What?
It's like they've elevated the concept of convenience to an art form.
It sounds like they've figured out how to combine like efficiency and quality and sustainability all in one.
Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
it's amazing.
But I'm curious, if the Japanese model is so successful, why are we seeing headlines about 7-Eleven closing hundreds of stores in North America?
That's a great question, and it goes to the heart of the challenges that 7-Eleven is facing right now.
Okay.
They are shutting down nearly 450 underperforming stores in the U.S. and Canada.
Wow.
It's due to a few different factors. Inflation is putting a lot of pressure on margins.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarette sales are declining.
Okay.
And consumer preferences are shifting toward healthier and fresher options.
Right. So it sounds like 7-Eleven is caught between a rock and a hard place, trying to fend off a takeover
Yeah,
while simultaneously needing to adapt to like these changing consumer demands.
exactly. It's a tough spot to be in.
That's got to be rough. But 7-Eleven's not taking this line down.
No, they're not. They're making some bold moves to try to boost their value and fend off Couche-Tard.
Okay, so what's their strategy? What are they doing to stay ahead of the game?
One of their key strategies is to split the business.
Yeah.
And focus on their core 7-Eleven stores. This move allows them to streamline operations and highlight their most profitable assets.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Focus on what works. Cut the dead weight. What else are they doing?
They're also taking inspiration from their Japanese success story. They're introducing a new SIP-E mini supermarket format, specifically for the Japanese market.
SIP, what does that even stand for?
It stands for Superb Impressive Proximity.
Catchy.
Yeah, it builds on that already popular Japanese convenience store model,
Right.
but with an even greater emphasis on high-quality, fresh food and ready-to-eat meals.
Like what?
Think gourmet sandwiches, artisanal pastries, chef-inspired salad,
Wow.
all within easy reach.
So they're doubling down on what's working in Japan,
Wow.
and they're hoping to attract even more customers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty clever strategy.
It is.
So they're trimming the fat, they're innovating in a proven market, and they're trying to catch up to their own Japanese success story.
Yeah.
That's a lot to digest.
It is, and there's still so much to unpack.
Right.
Will these moves be enough to fend off the Circle K takeover?
Yeah.
What are the cultural implications of this potential merger?
Mm-hmm.
These are all questions we'll explore further as we dive deeper into the world of 7-Eleven.
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. This whole takeover, it actually reflects some interesting trends we're seeing, like across the retail landscape,
Oh, really?
especially in the U.S.
Like what?
Remember how we were talking about those like regional convenience store chains, like
Yes.
your Wawas and your Sheetz?
Right.
A lot of them, they're actually thriving
Mhm.
because they've adapted to local tastes and needs.
Okay.
They're offering fresh food and interesting products you don't see everywhere,
Right.
and a more like personalized experience that people like.
Yeah, so are you saying that like more traditional convenience stores like 7-Eleven are having a harder time keeping up?
Kind of, yeah. For a long time, they relied on gas sales and impulse buys,
Right.
candy bars, chips, cigarettes. But, you know, people are changing their habits. They're becoming more health conscious. They're looking for better ingredients.
Yeah.
And they're willing to spend a little more for convenience that, you know, fits their lifestyle.
So that's where this whole Japanese model comes in.
Exactly. 7-Eleven Japan, they were ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
They recognized that consumer behavior was changing.
Right.
They made convenience stores into a place to get like fresh, delicious, and affordable meals.
Right.
And it's been incredibly successful.
I mean, I can see why.
They even partner with like well-known brands and chefs to make exclusive products that you can only find in their stores.
Wow. So it's like less about grabbing a quick snack,
Yeah.
more about getting a good meal on the go.
Exactly.
I get it. But we can't forget about Circle K
Right.
and why they want to take over 7-Eleven so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what are they trying to do?
We got to look at the big picture. Couche-Tard is known for being ambitious.
Okay.
They've acquired a lot of convenience store chains over the years,
Hmm?
always expanding.
So they're like convenience store empire builders.
Basically. And getting 7-Eleven would be huge.
Yeah.
Global footprint, dominant position in the U.S. market.
Right. Can't forget about the Japanese government.
Oh, yeah.
They seem pretty worried about this whole thing.
Yeah, it comes down to protecting their interests. 7-Eleven Japan is huge over there,
Okay.
and the government sees it as a strategic asset. They don't want a foreign company taking over,
Right.
especially when it comes to things like the food supply chain.
So it's not just business.
Right,
It's politics,
right.
national pride, economic stability.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all connected. This is like a high-stakes chess match with global implications that go way beyond convenience stores.
Okay, hold on. I need a second to process all of this.
Yeah.
7-Eleven is trying to change. Circle K wants to buy them out. And the Japanese government is getting involved.
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for the average person?
Yeah, like you or me just going to the store.
Exactly.
It's hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but this is a turning point for the industry.
In what way?
We'll think about the impact on prices,
Okay.
product selection, the entire customer experience.
Right. If this all goes through, will we see more Circle Ks?
Maybe.
Will 7-Eleven change completely
Possibly.
to match that Japanese model, or will they try to blend the two?
It's possible.
Oh, many
Well,
possibilities.
I know. It's a lot to think about. But the big takeaway here is that this is bigger than just two companies fighting.
Okay.
This is about how consumer behavior changes entire industries.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this case, it's changing what convenience even means.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So what should we be paying attention to?
I'd say a few things.
Okay.
Will 7-Eleven's moves be enough?
Right? Like, will they work?
Yeah, it's ambitious, but no guarantees.
And what about the Japanese government?
That's another big one. If Circle K makes a better offer, will the Japanese government fight it,
Okay.
or will they be open to negotiating?
And we can't forget about U.S. regulators, right?
Absolutely. Antitrust concerns could be a factor.
Yeah.
Both Circle K and 7-Eleven are already big players. It's like a giant puzzle with so many pieces.
Right.
And we don't know what the final picture looks like yet, but it's going to have a big impact on the whole retail industry.
Wow. I am hooked on this convenience store drama.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd be so invested in big gulps and Slurpees.
I know, right? It's not your typical business story. It's got twists and turns, international intrigue, and even a little bit of culture clash.
Speaking of culture clash, that's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah,
We've talked about how different Japanese convenience stores are.
right.
Like, what if this merger actually happens?
Yeah.
How are those two worlds going to collide?
That's the big question.
Right.
And it's something we'll get into next. Because blending those different cultures and approaches,
Mm-hmm.
that could be the hardest part of this whole deal.
All right, so we've talked about like the business side of this, strategies, the stakes, what it means globally.
Right.
But now I want to talk about like the cultural side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if this merger actually happens, it's two huge companies with totally different approaches,
Totally.
different histories, different customer expectations.
Right.
Blending those cultures could be so hard.
Oh, it's definitely a big challenge. Like, imagine trying to combine.
It's like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded or something.
Right. You've got these two giants with such different approaches, like you said, histories and customer expectations. Trying to blend all of that is going to be like, I don't know, navigating like international trade agreements or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about how cool Japanese convenience stores are. They've got all that fresh food.
Yeah.
It's almost futuristic.
It's pretty amazing.
It's hard to imagine that working with like the grab-and-go roller grill hot dog culture
Right.
that we see in some North American 7-Elevens.
It really makes you think about brand identity.
Yeah,
Will Circle K try to force their style on 7-Eleven all over the world?
right.
Or will they embrace the Japanese way of doing things? Maybe even bring some of that into their own stores.
Right. It's a tough choice.
Yeah, it's a big one.
And we can't forget about those regional favorites we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Like Wawa Sheets Bookies.
Mm-hmm.
They all have like their own local vibe.
Right.
Would a Circle K takeover ruin that?
Yeah.
Or would those places still be special?
That's a great question. It's a balance between going global and staying local.
Mm-hmm.
People want brands that feel real
Yeah.
and reflect what they care about.
Right.
So that's something they have to think about if this merger happens.
So it's not just about who owns the stores.
Right.
It's about keeping the different cultures of convenience alive.
Exactly. Which brings us to you, the listener.
Yes.
What do you think about this whole story?
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited about a global convenience store giant?
Yeah.
Or are you worried about losing those local favorites?
That's such a good question. This is one of those deep dives where there's no easy answers,
Right.
but it makes you think about some interesting things.
Definitely.
Like, what does convenience even mean today?
Yeah.
Is it about speed,
Mhm.
select, quality,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something else entirely?
It's a good question.
And how will convenience stores in the future change to keep up with us?
Yeah, like what do we want?
Exactly. It's something to think about the next time you're at the store late at night,
Right.
looking for a snack or something.
The convenience stores are changing.
Yeah.
The choices these companies make will change everything.
They'll change the brands we see and like the whole experience of going to the store.
Totally. It's wild.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
So listeners, we'll leave you with this. What do you want from the convenience store of the future?
Yeah, tell us.
Let us know on social media.
And until next time.
Happy snacking.